Hey everybody, it's Bust with Battles with Bust number 373, and today we're going to be doing battle with Samira Jinx. And so we find our way back into the standard format. We spent the past 3 videos taking a look at the singleton gauntlets. I'm kind of finished with that now and ready to dive back into standard before the new variety set comes out next week. And so before we talk about this deck in particular, mentioning the variety set does make me want to give a couple of mentions, a couple of announcements, a couple of notifications regarding the upcoming and the past things. And so if you go over to the Runeterra report website, you can see on the events calendar that the variety set will come out next week. This is the smaller set that is meant to accompany Glory for Navori. We'll be seeing that one on this upcoming Wednesday, about a week from when this video is released. If you move over to the next month into June, you can see that there are 2 Runeterra opens, one on the 10th and one on the 17th, both of those events being in the Eternal format. And so the first thing I wanted to say is I'm not certain what's going to happen with the ladder over the course of the next month, if it just immediately switches over to Eternal and everybody plays a month of Eternal on the ladder, or if both the Eternal and the standard queues are going to be open. Not quite certain, but you might want to kind of have that on your radar, that the new set comes out next week. The following month, there's 2 Runeterra opens, and there's going to be that big push towards Eternal as those opens approach us. Other thing I wanted to mention was the Runeterra Opens over this past weekend. We had a fantastic 0-3 run in the event, and if you wanted to see some better performers, the VODs are up on the Legends of Runeterra YouTube page. And so don't click on the videos section. It wasn't released actually as a video. That's still back with the old Glory from Navori things. You need to go over to the live section, and the Mastering Runeterra covered off on the coverage for all 3 regions, Americas, EMEA, and Asia, all got coverage this time, with Mastering Runeterra handling it quite skillfully and quite wonderfully. And so if that's something that you're interested in, that's all out there. It took me a little bit of time to actually come in and find these things, but it kind of is what it is. And so in touch with the Runeterra Open and the NA event over the last week, we're going to be touching on Krios' decks over the next few videos. He played Annie, Jen, Samira, Jinx, and Shen Jarvan in this event. This is something that we're going to look to play in this Ruthless Rumble a few days from now, and so I wanted to kind of cover off on all of these decks before we got there. And so we'll talk more about his lineup in particular as we get to the Ruthless Rumble, but these are the decks that we're going to be playing over the course of the next few videos, and then again in that Rumble as it comes up this coming weekend. And so Samira Jinx, it should be very familiar to you if you played things like Discard Jinx, Jinx Draven, whatever you called it from seasons past, as to where you have this really go wide aspect assigned to your board, and then you're really building up that board and your width with the discard cards, with the discard letting you put free Reborn Grenadiers and free Flame Chompers and free Jury Rigs onto the board. And then to kind of tie in more with the discard elements, you can discard Vision to give all of your units on the board a bonus. And so that is the kind of core strategy that the deck is looking to pull off. You want to flood the board. You want to get way more units on the board than your opponent has. You make a big old attack, you play the Vision, and then boost the size of all of your units. And so that's your kind of key and core strategy. You're looking to aggro out the opponent, but this deck has a surprising amount of reach. It has a surprising amount of late game to it as we look towards Jinx and flipping her and generating the Super Mega Death Rockets, and then the Augmented Experimenter killing off a unit and drawing 3 fresh cards. You have a lot of ways to continue to refill your hand and refill your board after that initial flurry of units is inevitably dealt with. And so those are the kind of key concepts to keep in mind. You want to flood the board. Don't worry about getting good attacks. Just get in there and attack with everybody. You know, it's a real standard and easy concept. You put the units on the board, you attack with them. It doesn't matter if they're going to die. You're just going to come in and deal that damage. You're going to refill a little bit with the Augmented Experimenter and Jinx, and then you're going to finish off the game with a small burn package between Jinx and then the Mystic Shots. And so that's the deck. Let's go ahead, jump on into battle, see what we can get done. And so this is a very interesting deck to me. It was on my radar before the events got here, but I didn't look at it too closely because it's a deck that actually has a positive matchup against Samira Fizz. And that's just not a matchup I was really intending on playing. And so I didn't give this deck really as much credit as it was due. And I feel like we kind of cut ourselves short by not actually actively considering this deck instead of playing one of the different Samira decks. But lessons learned, you know, we should really embrace the aggro, love it as much as we should, and accept our mistakes and move on. And so, reasonable enough start here. We don't have any of the discard cards to activate in our opening hand, but that's okay. We can still have a pretty reasonable start with the Forge Chief into something like Grave Physician. It's still a pretty reasonable value draw against Talia Malphite, which isn't going to be very aggressive. And then we did pick up 2 discard cards right away in the Vision and the Reborn Grenadier. And so I'm going to start off here with just the Physician into the Grenadier. Going to look to build up the board a little bit, and then 2 turns from now, we'll look to pop off this Vision. We should be able to get that fully sized board that we were talking about in the intro, and then get maximum stats out of the Vision. So, all right, not a bad start. Cleared out the opposing board, a little 5-piece nugget right to the dome. We got 3 mana worth of units to play on this next turn. Everything's going smoothly. We would like to find a jury rig or something if we could, just to get a little bit bigger set of units on the board, but it's okay as it is. So I'm just going to go ahead and discard the Zonite Urchin. Not quite willing to discard Jinx with this board. She's just not... she's just going to be too strong a couple of turns from now. And then a bit of a bummer in picking up the Augmented Experimenter. I think we need to pivot just a little bit. I think I am actually going to play Jinx next turn. And if we want to play Jinx, I want to play the Urchin first, so that we have an opportunity to potentially play her. We can't play both the Urchin and Jinx next turn. And more importantly than having this... the Zonite Urchin flexibility next turn is going to be spending all of our mana, and so I don't really want to be banking up mana at this point. All right, gets a little interesting. I think I still just want to drop the Jinx. She should be fairly safe on this board. If it seems like she's not going to be safe, we can just come in with an attack, and a trade into Sunburst is completely fine. Very expensive spell from the opponent. They don't get to add any more units to the board. Opponent's going to have to decide if they want to just get completely nugged and take all of the damage in order to get this Rock Bear on board next turn, or if they want to go ahead and make a trade, risk not having this Rock Bear ready to go. Right, not a bad start. And so, I mean, if he just plays one expensive card, if he plays Talia, that's going to be pretty bad, right? He can play Talia, copy the Rock Bear, and have 2 dudes on board next turn. But if he just has a normal unit, or if he has like a 5-drop or something, and we get to get in front of it with the Flame Chompers, then that's going to be a pretty big deal for this next turn. Let's see what turns up. Not really excited about this. We can punch in for 6 damage on the turn, but then we're going to be short of acquiring any lethals, and I don't really want to drop a Zonite Urchin. We could look to Rummage beforehand, but I don't really feel like this is a spot to where we want to be dropping units on the board. So I'm going to hook the Rock Bear Shepherd out of combat. I'm not really concerned with this unit, and then we should be able to kill the Rock Bear after combat with the Augmented Experimenter. I think that's the way we want to go about it. We could look to, I guess, preemptively Rummage. So say like Rummage and then discard Experimenter Zonite Urchin. We do just have like this ton of mana here, and it just doesn't feel great discarding 3 cards on the round. Alright, so let's cycle through, see what we pick up. That's not bad. I'm going to go ahead and Mystic Shot on this turn, so that we don't overbank. If we roll into next turn and then look to drop the Experimenter, we're going to just lose the Mystic Shot anyways. So let's just go ahead and drop it, get his unit off of the board. See if we can't pick up some exciting burn spells here to finish this one out. Ew. That's kind of nasty. So he gets to pop off the full board. Shouldn't be lethal this turn, though. We're going to pop down the only unit that we can with the Researcher. Gonna want to have the full 6 units on board next turn. I don't think he'll be able to add any more units to the board here to where we most certainly can. So that's it. Talia comes in and only drops us to 1. Okay. Sure. Let's see if we can punch in just a little bit of damage. We need to deal 6 next turn. I think that we're going to end up being short. It looks like we're only going to be able to hit for 4 at the most. So we're going to have to hit some spicy top decks. Can we get through the big wall of units? Not looking so hot. Alright, so let's send the squad in like this. I'm just going to go ahead and kill off the unit that the Invalus Vox is blocking. That's going to take away his opportunity to just get that little bit of fury. It's not like we're killing any of these units anyways. Let's see what we can do from here. Not a lot. Not a lot. We only have 3 damage in hand, and so we're going to have to top deck into Mystic Shot next turn. As Lloyd Christmas would say, so you're saying there's a chance. Uh-oh, Malphite coming in. Alright, you got your stun.
I excel at making heads turn and roll.
Let's see if we can do it. You think we can do it? Can we pick up the Mystic Shot? It's going to be real sweet if we do. Bird. Pigeon. Ah. GG. That's tough, though. It's one of those matchups to where it's certainly in their favor a little bit, but if you have these draws to where you can get out in front of them and they don't get the chance to pop off with just literally everything, then you're usually pretty fine. So if their first play isn't until like turn 4 or turn 5, then you've really got the chance to get out in front of them. All right, moving on to the next one though. Reasonable enough start. I'm just going to go ahead and move away with the Sump Dredger because I don't really want to be starting with Zaunite Urchins here, but I'm going to be spending this mana anyways, so. Didn't turn out that well. Let's just go ahead and get rid of Rummage. Like, can't feel good. It's like I know the power in having these, in having these 6th cost units, but we're not going to play it for so long. And just draw another one. He says, I was due. I was due, bust. Reasonable draws outside of that. Conchologist comes in, sure. Let's see if he manages to spike a group shot or a pastry toss. He's thinking about it for a while, so we might be okay. Alright, nice chunk of damage rolling through. See if he comes at us with something. You can fairly safely just pass here from the darkness perspective. He knows we're going to spend all of our mana every turn if we can, and so he's not really at risk of us playing this slow. Let's just get more stuff on board, though. If he wants to just drop like 1 card, that's completely fine, and then we're getting kind of set up to where we may be able to strike up the band. Fucking A. What a bummer of a card to have to run into. I was really expecting just 1 card to come in. It's not the end of the world, but it's annoying to have that be just a giant damage preventer for the round. The thing that we're going to be looking towards here is our opponent's ability to have the lifesteal unit. Whatever that is, the 6th cost 4/5 that gains health. That's going to be a problem, and so we're really going to have to look to open attack on our next attack. Our hand isn't really well set up for it, but it's where we're going to be. fairly weak Vhagar. We'll go ahead and drop in the Jinx, so we can at least burst out this Grenadier. We might be able to punch in some damages. Oh, we gotta make the Death Rocket this turn. We need to get rid of the Experimenter and the Grenadier.
Where is it?
Bird and Samira. So Samira is actually kind of interesting in the sense that we can, if that big unit turns up, we can just hook it out to the end, and then still just try and win this in the middle of combat. But as it stands, we're only looking to punch in 5 damage. 5 damage is good when you have Get Excited plus the opportunity for a... Oh, hang on. If we want the Death Rocket, we can't play the Samira. Okay. This is what it is. Here's the attack. Right, we only have 6 mana, so we would have to... Sure. We would have to play both the Get Excited and the Rummage. This is still okay. We're going to get to take the Vhagar down. He can't cast his Darkness for the turn. No real complaints. So 3 to the face from the Death Rocket. We will Rummage away Samira. That discard will still count as us having an empty hand, so our Jinx will flip. We'll get to put the thing in hand. Then the Death Rocket will clear out this Vhagar. Hopefully get us close enough to just ending this thing. And his Darkness is only at 3, and so it's going to be questionable as to whether or not Jinx is able to survive next turn, but it's going to take a lot of resources, and she's going to draw us a bunch of cards, and so some nice potential there. Conchologist rolls through. What do we got? Jury Rig and a Zonite Urchin. So not quite able to get out in front of this, and oh boy, the Lifesteal guy came in. He's got Hallowed 2, so he's going to gain 6, and we can't empty out our hand. Oh boy. He plays. It's like if he plays one more card, we could have gotten out in front of this and gotten the lethal this turn. Alright, so Death Rocket coming in. I would like to play. See what we can do next turn. Open attack, probably good enough if we get the Jinx out in front of this thing, but let's go for the spells first. So we'll get the Death Rocket in hand, and then we'll try to make him just have tons of answers. There's no like strike cards for this Ixtali thing, and Samira was a perfect pickup. We could pull the Ixtali Sentinel out of combat. Oof. Good stuff. Well done, Bust. Good job. You can say it, it's alright. Feels good, man. Back-to-back Samira videos. We played all those games with the Freylord cards that I do love. All that singleton happening here recently, but feels good to jump back in and just get to attacking, you know? All right, Kaisa coming at us. What do we got? Reasonable enough start. I could see some argument to get rid of the Sump Dredger. Like, we'd really like to find a 2-drop here. So let's just send him away. See what turns up. Rummage is okay. It costs 2 mana. Not exactly the 2-drop we were looking for, but we'll make do. Still get 3 draws before that turn gets here, so there's a lot of opportunity to still pick up a discard card early. I don't know if anyone noticed, but I really want to be playing Draven, and it's not the opportunity. It's not. He doesn't exist here anymore, you know. So I at least pulled out the Pool Party skin. You can't get Pool Party Jinx, you can't get Pool Party Samira, but you know, with the thoughts in mind of our friends from the past, We try to get our Draven-based activities going on out here. All right, nice addition with the Flame Chompers. It's going to let us get into combat here, pull the Voidling out without it actually killing anything, and then get to build up the board even more. Having this board of double Flame Chompers along with the Vision is quite strong as well. Get to give our little challengers the attack boost they always hoped and dreamed of. Whew. What you thinking there, Dank 13? He's probably petting a kitty. We've been over this before. We know we know how these things happen. You get distracted when you're out here petting kitties. So with this, I'm just going to pass. I'm going to let him go ahead and take the hook on whatever he wants. With the Broadwing, he's probably going to be hooking the Flame Chompers. And then if we roll into next turn, and we don't... I was going to say, if he just passes here and we roll into next turn, it's not that big of a deal. Still looking good. Let's play the Physician. We'll discard the Flame Chompers, and then we can just add in Reborn Grenadier next turn as our discard card to get the Vision on board. I think it's fine if opponent plays a unit behind. It's probably just going to be like a 4/4. Is it different now? Sump Dredger is such a good unit. How close is he to Evolve? And so if he plays his 4/4 Overwhelm, he's not going to hit Evolve for the turn. I think this is okay. Let's go bigger with the Sump Dredger. Now I'm ready to party. All right, big old punch of damage rolling through, and then we got Jinx in hand, ready to generate some death rockets. She's got that get excited for the second Jinx as well. Should be able to punch through for quite a bit here. The opponent falls to 11. Gets to keep a bird, but we get to keep 3 units for the round. It's pretty good. The thing I don't want to have happen here is the Broadwing come in and hook Jinx, and so we'll probably give her another round of time. Do we even want to bother with that? That's an interesting spot. I think I would be okay with it if... I would be okay with it if Jinx was capable of winning the battle against the Broadwing, but since she's just going to come in and die, I think we want to hold her at home for the moment. She can come down and battle next turn. Rip Flame Chompers. Oh, he's got Fury. He's getting so many stats on the old Broadwing here. And this is a little lame, given that we would love to get excited one of these Betheldi Elders, but the opponent's got he's got the spell shields on everybody. It's kind of annoying. But get that Star Guardian Jinx doing Star Guardian things. Drop this Death Rocket. See where that gets us. He's only got 1 card in hand at this point. It would be, quite disastrous if his 1 card was a was the +2/+2 thing, the form up. Other than that, I don't really care. I'm trying to decide if we actually want to attack with our Jinx here, and we probably do. We're going to be punching in for 7, if assuming that he blocks our 4 biggest, and then, well, I guess we'll hit for 6 if our 2 smallest make their way through. It's just like, if he takes 3 and falls to 5, okay. It's like, it just does. I'm trying to envision if we ever lose this game, if we just go into Death Rocket mode, right? So we leave Jinx at home and then we just try and generate Death Rockets the rest of the way. We should be pretty safe, but we do ultimately have to worry about stuff like Cataclysm and worry about stuff like single combat. Not entirely certain what this dude's removal suite's going to look like. Looks like it's not anything that's going to kill Jinx, so we should be safe. But it just feels like the only way we end up losing this is if we get into combat here and our Jinx dies, that's a problem, or if he has a Kaisa next turn. But we're good now. Let's go ahead and shoot the bird. I don't have too high of expectations out of it, but if we drop it down to 2 health or whatever, it's only going to... not going to be able to really kill anything. Whew. Got him. Alright, we're going to play one more game on the Star Guardian skin, then we're going to switch to the Arcane one. It's tough for me to decide which is better. I don't know why we even got the Star Guardian one. I'm sure we were out here just paying to win or something, but... you know. It's the way we end up doing it. But I was trying to think of who the other Star Guardians were. And I know that there's like Gwen, and I think there's... I thought maybe Lulu? I can't remember all of the Star Guardians, and so... it's tough. But on this turn, you have a couple of options, right? You can lead with Forge Chief for the extra mana, or you can lead with the Urchin for damage, and we're just going to go for damage. We're going to go as hard as we can, slamming the damage to the face. We do have this very 1-drop heavy draw, so I am envisioning us going Crimson Pigeon into Forge Chief. I was going to drop Samira after the fact, but... let's make him just drop a high note on one of these units that's already on board. Do we even want to drop the Forge Chief? Like, we're so strong next turn. I think I want to keep the option to set up a hook. And so if he plays a unit for the round, then we're going to have the opportunity to get a good quick attack challenge. And it shouldn't be too obvious that we're able to quick attack challenge down to 3/3. So we'll see how they spend the mana. He goes with the Concussive Palm. That's okay. So we'll move away from the vision play then. I'm just going to go ahead and drop the Forge Chief, and then we'll still bring in a hook to take down the tail of the dragon. Just get that dum-dum out of here. We don't need him cycling these units around with tag-outs. Don't want him getting a value block onto the Scuttler. And then this should let us build up a little bit heavier into this vision. See if he spends any mana. I would really like to be able to just drop Jinx this turn, but I don't want her to die to Aftershock. That's going to be a real disaster. Not going to be able to just empty out our hand next turn, though. So let's see if we just pick up a cheap unit here. Well, no, we need the discard stuff. Alright. I don't hate it. I don't hate it, especially now that we picked up Flame Chompers and we can hook the Mixologist out of combat. So no Jinx this turn, but she should be at least a little safer with this sequencing. Nice 13-piece nugget right to the dome. That's a big number, right? Take that back. 6-piece nugget right to the dome. It's close. It's similar amount of nuggeting. I want to drop the Flame Chompers. We don't have any value cards at the moment, and I'm probably going to want to be flipping this Jinx next turn. We'll see if he adds in a set this turn. Nope. many coins does he have, though? 3, so he's only going to get up to 4 mana for the round. Oh, seems like a horrifically bad attack. Gets his mixologist in a spot to where it's going to die to this death rocket that we're about to drop. Assuming that we can, I guess I should say, assuming that we're able to play all the cards out of our hand. There we go. It's like we're even gonna be flipping Samira. That's not something that you typically see out of this deck. The Samira, it is easy to see that we're playing a ton of really cheap plays and a lot of cycle, but Samira doesn't flip very frequently with this. But certainly not complaining about it. So we send 1 to the Nexus. Incoming flip on the Jinx. Drop in the Death Rocket, get the 3 to face, get the dumb unit off of the board. If he drops a tag out, more power to you. And then should be pretty close to ending this one. This is so where we fell apart in our Runeterra Open. I read the meta so poorly. I had felt like Karma Set wasn't going to show up in large numbers. I was afraid that Karma Set was going to turn up because you get into these events and there's a lot of big brain syndrome in it, so people want to bring the control decks when they can. But I didn't feel like it was a deck that you really... Like, if you're operating under the mindset that... if you're operating under the mindset that you are going to be... I think we want to attack like this. I don't want... Oh no, here, let's just rummage first. And we could put the damage onto the Grenadier. It's like, well, let's just keep it like this. I want to minimize the effects of a Caustic Rift for the turn, so I don't want to take Samira to 1 health. Ideally, don't take the Grenadier to 1 health. But no, my thought on the Runeterra Open in terms of this was both Samira Fizz and Tristana aren't ideal matchups for Karma Set. Karma Set has like a slight favorite over Samira Fizz, but I just can't imagine that you want to go into these events just playing Samira Fizz over and over and over again, and you'll just eventually get boomed. Like, spoiler alert on the finals, that was what happened. The lineup that we're playing is designed to be good against Samira Fizz, and then sometimes you just lose when Samira Fizz pops off on turn 5, and that was how Drissoth got the win in the end. But I kind of felt like the easier take was, you know, I want to ban out Samira Fizz. I'm going to leave up the Tristana deck. If I'm leaving up the Tristana deck, that's a bad matchup for Karma Set. And so then Karma Set doesn't feel like a great option for the event. And so I was expecting a lot of people to fill in with decks that were good against Tristana. And so the idea for us was going to be that you get to... play decks that kind of coin flip against Tristana, but then are good against the next third. And so I wasn't expecting to run into these lineups that contained Samira, Tristana, and Karma Set. We ran into it twice and got smoked, but that was kind of my line of thought. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't play out. We were playing stupid decks like Nasus. I forgot my core piece of... my core piece of knowledge in terms of these events, and it's just don't play bad decks, just play good decks. we got caught in the trap coming out and playing bad Nasus decks, playing cards like Ornn. It was fun though. I had a good time. All right, so for this turn, I led off with the Jury Rig instead of the Reborn Grenadier. Assuming opponent doesn't have a 1-drop, that Jury Rig just kind of threatens to be a lot more damage than the singular point of damage we get out of the Grenadier, or the single shot of damage we get out of the Grenadier, I should say. And so it's not unrealistic to think over the course of the game the Scrap Scuttler might deal 3, 4, 5 damage, as to where the Grenadier is probably dealing 3. Alright, though. Dude's got a Quietus. Definitely discarding the Grenadier here. There's not a 3-drop in the opposing deck I care about. It's going to be that. it's going to be the 1/5 Azir or the 1/3 thing that makes the 1/3 thing that makes rock bears. All right, let's battle. I got my full 6 dudes on board on turn 3. That's all you can ask for, right? All right, so we'll come in for 12. Leave the sentry up. I think that's okay. Like, I'm not amped about him getting to put the sentry wherever he wants it to go. And so we'll just hook it out of combat. And then the idea being, if he's going to actually and legitimately play a Vaults of Helya, fine. And then otherwise, we should be able to build into this Death Rocket pretty quick. Maverick Dragon rolls through. We'll add in our Jinx. It's a little scary for Jinx. She most certainly dies to a lot of the removal spells here, but opponent dropped the Maverick Dragon. Now they don't have the mana for Vengeance. I think she should be relatively safe. Alright, so we rummage away the vision. Not a terrible draw. Gets our flip, gets our Death Rocket. Let's get into combat. Looks like a lethal. You do need to take note. He's going to drain 1 off of this dragon. Right, it's going to get the Slay onto the Flame Chompers, and so I wanted to be a little mindful of that, but still feel pretty good about this round. Even if he has a quicksand or something to try and stop a lot of this combat, we're still going to be in a pretty good spot. Off the Wall. Wasn't that a rap album? Was that? Hang on, I have to look it up. Let me see. Michael Jackson. There you go. I thought that was the one. I don't know what songs were on it. Hang on. Songs. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. Classic. That's the only one I recognize, though. Don't Stop Till You Get Enough. That song is as the kids would say these days, that song slaps. Go a little bit back in time. The song's a banger. Good stuff. All right. Opponent rage quits as we talk about Michael Jackson. GG. On to the next one. It's a banger. I love that quote from Tom Haverford so much. Tom Haverford in Parks and Rec, Aziz Ansari's character, says, "Every song in my iPod is a banger." And then he moves on with that and says, "One time I discovered the Lumineers song on my iPod. Had to throw the whole thing away just to be safe." Love it. Love it. It's good stuff. I've only watched through Parks and Rec like 6 times. Nothing wrong with that, I guess. All right, on to the next one, though. Up against Karma Set again. This time it's the Targon version instead of P&Z. I know I've run into this before, but I don't remember why they actually play Targon. It's probably terrible, and so maybe they'll have Stellacorns. Stellacorn sounds a little problematic, but on the whole, I don't know what else they'd want to be playing in this deck. But we get to ultimately feel exceptionally safe, given that the removals, like, they're not going to have Mystic Shots and High Notes for our turn 2 Samira, and so you can play this a lot more aggressively. But I think this is a good enough answer to the Stellacorn and just dropping the Flame Chompers out to the end. If he actually wants to come in and attack with it, we might consider getting nasty and getting out in front of it, but I don't think that's necessary at the moment.
For permission or forgiveness?
Just gain your 1 health per turn. Oh, double youngling. That's a little bit more problematic. So let's bring it in. I'm not going to drop the flare. It's a little unfortunate to kind of have this free attack with Samira and then lose out on the flare, but I want to bank the mana into next turn. I think also helps us kind of level up our Jinx. I don't think that's the way I really want to think about it, but if we aren't stacking flares, then we should be a little bit easier to get the Jinx flip. Okay. Alright, dude's got to be gaining 1,000,000 now. The Stellacorns, they were problematic. Facts. No fake news here.
I make it my business to know.
Oh boy. Okay. So this is brutal. This one's probably done at this point because he's just going to gain so much health. But I'm curious if, like, we need to get Jinx down, but I don't really want to attack with her. She should be safe enough to just play, I think. But we can't attack with Jinx and have her just die to that stupid spell. So I'm going to play her just kind of for the mana efficiency here, but I don't intend on attacking with her next turn. Now we can do a little bit more since our Pigeon's going to be up to 4/4 and he's able to start taking down some of these units. But we want to flare first. Then we can play Samira. I don't think we're going to be attacking with her, but we might want the option. Well, we're probably going to need to attack with her if we want to boost our Pigeon. But we have a couple of options here in the sense that if he puts a blocker in front of Samira, we can Mystic Shot it and maybe get the attack down with a quick attack.
You could use a drink.
So I don't have, high hopes for this. I don't think this works too frequently, but we're able to finally get these dum-dums off of the board. That feels pretty good. And then eating up a Nopify is not terrible as we're getting into this space of starting to cast Death Rockets.
Win or lose, I'm getting paid.
I still think this game was over like 4 turns ago, but gives us a little bit of opportunity.
With a smile.
The wheel of war turns ever onward.
And to place your bets, sure thing. So are we finally able to attack with Jinx? I don't think finally able is the right word. I think we have to just kind of come in and do this. But let's see. We want to flare. Let's put Challenger onto the bird. On an augmented experimenter. Replace the 1/1, shoot the 3/3.
On the verge of something.
And see if we can't get something going here. Then this vision's gonna pop off and make all of our units a little bigger.
I'm on a roll.
Still don't think we want to attack with Jinx. She's just got to sit around and draw us a bunch of cards and be a landmark. But all these other attacks are still fine. Rip. Are we finally getting the Stellacorns off the board? Off the board? It's only turn 7. This is not a bad time to do it. What you got in store for us now? I'm curious if we ever find ourselves in a spot to where we're able to get an attack in this round without him still having units on the board. I think this is a dangerous pass. Like, I assume that he's going to take a hook with Set. And then we can follow up after that and be kind of okay. I was curious if we're going to be in a spot to where he just doesn't have any units on the board, and then we're able to just like chunk in around these things, just get a little bit around the edge. But didn't come together.
Something I said.
This'll be a good warm-up.
Surprised he didn't attack though. So close to the lethal. Cuss of palm onto pigeon, sure. So we still have 9 mana for the round. I'm gonna look to send the augmented experimenter at Set. The thing that's kind of annoying with this is you can deny the reckless research, and so I really want to be sending the mystic shot to the face, but it's ultimately a giant disaster if, oh man. We should have just shot him in combat, huh? We took this a little too slow. Probably did. And he's still got 4 mana here, which is a bit of a bummer. But we might be able to play around the Set. He's gonna spend his 4. He's gonna generate some of that stupid ass card, but we might have the stats to actually run around it. I would like to see him spend the mana before we play the draw 3, though. But he didn't play anything last turn, so he missed out on that chance to to pop one of our units. Says he's gonna have infinite mana with Karma. Kinda is what it is.
The sun rock got me good.
So I assume we're dead at this point, but he's already played 2 of his card draw cards, so he may just not have a ton of stuff to do in hand. So much for that idea. Okay. So that's tough. Like, we probably should have just gone for it on the previous turn. Like, we overpassed there. It's tough being in that spot to where you have to kind of play the guessing game as to whether or not they're actually going to attack with the Set or not. He didn't attack with Set, and I think we fell just a little bit too far behind because of that. We should have probably just played all of our cards anyways, and then tried to kill something and then get the big attack in the next turn. It just not having that full board was a real pain. Like, I think even if everything fails, right? Let's say we play our 3/3, we target something, he denies it, and then he attacks and we follow up with a 1/1. Like, I think that that's still a pretty reasonable turn, and we just gave up on too much by not just going for it. But I think that matchup ultimately says a lot in the sense that you have this dumbass deck that you're clearly designing to be good against, like, this ground-based aggro stuff, right? That has to be what you would consider to be the nut draw, right? As to where you have 2 Stellacorns early into the 3/4 heal thing, and you're still just, like, right on the verge of dying. And had we played just a little bit better, we would have probably just completely annihilated that game. And so you're playing a deck to where its nut draw, like, can't beat our nut draw. Your nut draw just, like, almost lost to one of our okay draws. And so if that's what you want to be taken into battle, you know, more power to you. But from my perspective, that sounds fucking terrible. I don't know. It's just whatever makes you happy, I guess.
Zon taught me to never let my guard down.
All right, though. Back to this one. We got to get these little flashbang dum-dums off of the board. And so let's lead off with the Mystic Shot this turn so he doesn't get to So he doesn't get to get the full collection of traps. Now we'll see what happens next round. We have the mana to bank one and play Samira and do all this other stuff. So we'll see how that goes. Is he gonna prank? Jumping the gun here with Samira. I think we definitely want her on board. I don't care if she gets hit with like a Mystic Shot or a removal spell. I basically want to come in and just kill this Sting Officer. So this hand should play out well enough to let us do that. I was hoping that we would be in a spot to where we could get both Flame Chompers and Vision down this turn. But we're not going to have that come together.
Anything else?
So I think with this board, I'm going to send one of our 1 health units into the Sting Officer. Just gives us a little bit more protection against those million Otterpusses that have made their way to the board. If he has a Piltover Peacemaker or a Mystic Shot or whatever, he can kill whatever he wants to kill. And so he blows his wad a little early. Okay. It still just feels like we ultimately made mistakes in this one, and like when we played the Vision and had the double Flame Chompers against all these like 1 health units, I don't know. I feel like we probably did something wrong. But got big damage in. His hand probably sucks at this point, and then. Yeah, we just got we got a second Vision to make up for our mistakes. Let's get everybody on board. It's kind of nice adding in the Flame Chompers as well, given that if he's going to drop some of these flashbangs on us, we have all these 2 health units that could potentially survive it. There you go. +2 cost to Vision. Go for it, dude. Go for it. Oh, he did. He took the bait on it. We're just gonna discard it. Why would you ever pick that? I mean, I guess pranking down this ephemeral unit doesn't feel good, but at least like taking the damage away from it does something. Just increasing the cost on Vision doesn't do fucking anything. Alright, all the Reborn Grenadiers ready to battle. I mean, we may end up playing one, I guess. Might have to. Oh shit. Is he going for blow-ups? Activates? Alright, squeeze your cheeks, boys. 3 puff caps. 2 flashbangs. Ooh, he killed the unit, though. Alright. That should be enough, right? He's only got 1 mana at this point. It's not a group shot, apparently. GG. Oof. A little bit of a clincher there. A little bit of a clincher. You do notice if he'd put the minus attack on our Reborn Grenadier, we wouldn't have been able to get the kill there, so. Noted. Alright. Final battle. The last one. Battle number 8 coming at you. See how it goes. Had a good time with this. It's so tough to me. It's like the Samira Fizz deck was like okay. Like I didn't feel exceptional amounts of fun playing it, but it certainly wasn't a bad time. And it's just like as we're moving into this one, like the place where I thought this was going to be in terms of just having like late game stuff to do and just coming out and blowing all of your hand on like turn 3 and not having anything to do. It's been so crazy that this deck like really holds up in terms of keeping units on the board and keeping to have stuff to do, just with all of the cycle and the card draw from Jinx and the card draw from Augmented Experimenter. Now this hand, this is a bit of a problem. We could have mulliganed like a little bit harder. I think, like, I don't like this hand. It's just we're in this spot to where if we'd been on the even attacks, this would have felt a lot better to where we could just play the Physician on 2 and discard the Grenadier, but like, it's ultimately just not that great, especially against Darkness. We probably should have just hard mulliganed and looked for a playable 1-drop. This is Nora Vagar. I thought we were playing against Darkness again, but much more problematic against Nora Vagar. They just have so many blockers that get in front of our good times. I don't like it when people get in front of our good times, you know? Oh shit. Did we just pass without attacking? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That was a mistake. I did not intend to do that. I was talking and moving and shit, and I just pushed the button out of habit. Okay. All right, let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. This is just turning into a fucking slop fest. Oh man. Not the greatest plays of 2023. Quietus rolls in. We'll add a bird. You could have looked to counterspell the Quietus with Vision, but I think losing out on the single unit's okay. Now it's probably a little different. It's like all of our units just die to this stuff. Right? Like boosting the Great Physician and the other guy just to have them trade with Conchologist doesn't feel like a real win. And Hate Spike. Jesus. Okay. And he gets to come at us with Nora. Alright. I think this is still recoverable. So I don't really want to get rid of the Flare. I want to use the Flare to come in and take down Nora. That leaves us kind of stuck with like just discarding Rummage. Not stoked about it, but let's see what turns up. Jinx, pretty good draw. Our hand is going to be empty in short order. Do we have to take down the Vagar? He's not that scary right now. But if he gets the +1 onto his Darkness, then his Darkness just starts killing Jinxes. And she's about to flip. Alright. Ooh, how different would this world be if we'd not forgotten to attack on the previous turn? We'd have probably gotten that Conchologist off of the board, and then he'd have been down an additional unit that he ended up using to Hate Spike. We would have punched in for just a little bit more damage as well. It's tough. It's tough. Sometimes you get to talking, you know? You get distracted, you start petting a cat or something. Stuff just gets in the way. That Flame Chompers wasn't the ideal draw. We're not able to empty out our hand for Jinx this turn. Needed a 1-drop or a cheap discard card. That's okay, but I had higher hopes for the turn. Alright, we will take his unit off the board. We're going to really struggle to get wider than him from this point, and so I think it's fine to just go ahead and block. Gonna drop in the Flame Chompers and then bank 3 for the turn. Only overbanking 1, that's not that big of a deal. She got 1 health unit. Nope. Conchologist has 1 health. Yeah, I don't suspect this Jinx is gonna make it far. We could maybe set it up to where we get to play her, more towards the end of the turn. But look at this board. This is just way too good. See if we can at least start to bait some stuff out.
We'll see who feasts tonight.
Am I wrong? This has to have greater, right? With less health than me. So we're gonna flip. Jinx is gonna have equal health. I did the mathematics on that. Equal is not less than equal. Is that how that works? One of you all take that into your math classes the next time you're there. Oh, and now he has the spell to just kind of get out of it. We're still in a fantastic spot, I think, but that's just I don't think you intentionally make this play. It's just so ready to get brutalized. This is like, any time I see a Jinx hit the board, I automatically assume that she's able to flip. And that's rough. So do we want to take the hook onto Stone Stackers? We're presenting lethal this way, so he has to block with the Devourer of the Depth. The other option, yeah, that's how we want to do it, because our other Dredger only has 2 health. And so I think if we were in a spot to where the Stone Stackers would have to block a 3 health unit, then we would be okay with the hook in. But given that board, I think this is the way to do it. And then he should just be dead, right? For the greatest missed attack of 2023. I miss that. There used to be so many times back in Expedition where I'd just start talking at the beginning of the game and play the 1-drop and skip the attack on the first turn. Used to happen so frequently. I don't do it nearly as often as I used to. And I've started to also get out of the habit as well, as to where I just sit here and click the board all the time. I used to have this real bad habit to where I would just sit here and click all over the board, and that ultimately would lead to me eventually clicking the resolve button when I didn't mean to. And so, little bit of whoopsies along the way. But we got to continue to grind this one out. There's still a chance that we win. We can hit another Jinx. We can hit a draw 3 and chain that into something. Certainly not done.
This transient, as long as the
6 cost. Damn. How sick would that have been if we just hit the 6 cost card right here? That would have probably just ended the game. And now an Extale. Okay, GG. And so yeah, if that cascade of just not attacking when we had the clear and obvious attack on the board was a just chain of problems, right? We missed out on the damage, we missed off on killing the Conchologist, that rolled into the next turn. He had an extra unit that he was then able to use with the hate spike, so he had just another dude on board to be effective. And as we ended the game with the opponent at 3, that cascading chain, I thought we might have still had enough oomph to just kind of come in and finish, but mistakes happen on occasion, and that was certainly a mistake. But I do still like to keep that stuff in the videos. I don't like to come out here and just cherry pick the games in the videos. It does have some downside to it on occasion, to where we don't get a good snapshot of the meta, or we play against a bunch of really off meta decks, or just something weird and it doesn't work out nicely. But I do like to at least show that people make mistakes, and you're going to make mistakes and you have to recover from them. This isn't just a video of the best player in the world making the best plays over and over again. I think it's a realistic snapshot of what you'll see within the game. That includes making mistakes along the way. And so, nonetheless, good deck. I really like it. I really enjoy it. If you are familiar with the discard Jinx using Draven from seasons past, a lot of similarities there, in that we're using this discard stuff to generate a really big board early. We smash in as much damage as we can. We might find a way to get a +6 attacks vision along the way, really just churn through the opponent, and then after that, we have the tools to refill just a little bit, maybe punch in a second round of damage, and then we'll try and burn out the opponent with Jinx and Mystic shots and the like to hopefully finish off the game. And again, it's a very powerful strategy. I can't remember the player's name. Let me pull it up. Give you Krios. Had in his idea that he was using it to battle against Samira Jinx. And so once you get up to about 200, 300 LP or so, you're going to see a ton more Samira Jinx or Samira Fizz. And so having the kind of combo, the counter to it is very nice as you're trying to grind up in the ladder and just playing against the most powerful deck in the format frequently. It's nice to play a deck that doesn't just get murdered by it. And so you get a lot of value there. And so good stuff. Good games. I had fun with that. I hope you did too, because that is going to do it for us today. And so hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hope you maybe learned a thing or two along the way and you had a good time watching. So this is Bust and me. Thank you for being here.